Hello, welcome in. Get out the cold. Remember, shoes off at the front door. Get some snacks and come take a seat and join us here in the Music Shack with both
Ray, hi.
and Jack. Hi. This is probably like our like this is like our Super Bowl, right? And like this is crazy. And look, Ray has been away. We've not really spoke about the album because we kind of do this with music now, because we're trying to keep
Yeah.
it like fresh for this, and it really just like there's so much to go over. We're gonna be going over the Tortured Poets Department, which is Taylor Swift's 11th studio album, and there is so much to discuss. We're only going over the first half, so from Fortnight to Clara, um, and then we'll be going over the anthology edition, um,
Next week.
next week. A brief understanding of what that is. TTPD was dropped on the 19th of April, and then at 2 a.m. US time, she dropped the sort of like deluxe, like second, like add-on album, the anthology, which added another 15 tracks, bringing the total track list of the TTPD like full album to 31 tracks, which was really overwhelming, but was good. But it was something really scary to wake up to. But how did you get on like when you first listened to the album? Like when you first listened to like the first half of it? Because I know you kind
I
of listened to it,
okay.
right?
I did. I so yeah, I listened to it and then I was with Robin. Shout out to Robin. I I had like some early things that like I didn't like and I was like and then I had some early things that I loved and then like the next Friday like I tried to absorb like the next day I didn't listen to the anthology at all because I was super tired and I was like I want to listen to this properly and not fall asleep halfway through.
Yeah.
So I went to bed and I listened to it in the morning, and the next day like I listened to the anthology and then I like was super overwhelmed for a few days trying to get through the tracks. I was like, I feel like I don't understand this album. I don't know anything because 31 tracks to absorb all at once is a lot. And so I just kind of went like track by track. I went with the ones that like I felt like were like super catchy and I really liked, and I started listening to those, and then I like eased my way into listening to the other ones, and like 2 weeks later, I finally feel like I've gone through every single one of the 31 tracks and like looked at the lyrics, understood Taylor's intention in the music and the sound of each track, and that takes a lot. And I know I was away and it sucked that we couldn't do it early, so thank you for being patient, but I'm like honestly happy that both you and I had the time to absorb this album because I think we'll be able to give it a fair review versus being super overwhelmed with everything if we just did it like the day of or the day after, like we usually do.
Yeah. Sort of seen like a large majority of people say the same thing. Like I listened to the obviously like the full 31 tracks, but like the first 16
Mm-hmm.
tracks um initially like I listened to it on like street, done like a listen like party, but I literally like I think it did take me back because there was like a lot of things I was expecting going into it, which like I think just initially I was like, oh, okay, this is like a lot, and then like I think because there was so much to the album, you're trying to break it down all in one, and I think you just then kind of get away from the sound. So this has been something that I'm glad that we like sort of took a little bit more time at, because you've seen this with a couple reviews and stuff of getting like rewritten after a couple more days to like process things, and I think it's crucial for a big album like
Yeah.
this to sort of do it. So I'm glad we have taken this time. I'm not going to go into too much how I feel about it because we'll go into that at the end, obviously. But yeah, literally, I think I'm glad we did wait. Although it's been like
Yeah.
really, I've been like, come on, I want to review it or talk about it, and it's like still a lot, but
Me and
it
Jack,
has been good, I
like,
think.
we were like texting. We were like, oh my God, we both have so much to say, but we can't say anything. We have to wait. So I'm excited. It's probably going to be a long episode. We don't know, but it probably will be. But also, I just want to say, like, it's not that I didn't like it when I first listened to it. I did.
Mm-hmm.
I just, like, I don't think I could have formed like an opinion on it when I first listened to it. I just was like super overwhelmed by everything. But I did like, I knew it had potential, unlike some of the reviewers who want to think that they can say an album is trash um just because they want to. um Anyway, we, unlike them, give unbiased and reviews, and you guys who have listened to our album reviews in the past know that. So thank you for listening. But
Yeah.
with that, we should get into the album. So we're gonna start off with going through track by track, and then we'll talk about our overall thoughts at the very end. Um, so the first track is the single off this album. There's also a music video. It's Fortnight, and it's featuring Post Malone. Jack, why don't you start? What did you think about this song, as a whole?
Okay, so as a whole, like I think this is like out of the whole album, I think this is genuinely probably the most perfect opener, and it's like definitely the most acceptable to be like a radio song and like a single. I think when you've got Post Malone in a song, that's like guaranteed anyway. But I think the sound is like is the most digestible out of the album, and not like, and it's also the most like digestible lyrically. So like if you're
Mm-hmm.
not coming in as a fan to listen to this album, it's like a perfect like pull, like it's perfect song to pull you into the rest of the album. Because I think it would obviously get people to start listening because you're coming in, you're being like attached to the song with like Post, and obviously Post brings amazing like vocals and like just
Oh
everything to
yeah.
a song he's on. And I really like the back and forth between Taylor and Post in their like respective lines. As I'm running down, obviously like they have a lot of times where they are like echoed within like the bridge and
I
some of the
love the
verses, and they say the
bridge.
same. The bridge is so good. But
Mm-hmm.
I there is one thing, and um within we'll run into the lyrics after we hear like an opinion of it from you, but I just wish there was a wee bit more Post Malone in this, and a lot of people have said like this has got the Lana treatment, which again I need to say, like
It kind of
when
did.
someone comes in to feature on a verse, right, it's like it is, obviously there's different things from it. Like sometimes an artist comes in with the idea of being like, oh, I'd love to feature on this track, and then they get on it and they do it the way they want to do it. Obviously we don't know the process, but I just
Yeah.
really wish there was a wee bit more Post on this. Like, yeah,
It's
that's
super
kind of
funny
my thoughts.
because Dylan, my boyfriend, who is a mild Swiftie versus an insane Swiftie like us, when he first listened to this song, he was like, why did Taylor get a feature on this track just for those few lines?" I was like, yeah, um, yeah. Anyway, it's interesting that you say this is good for casual fans and like a good opener for the album, because I don't know if you know AJ. We love AJ. I love AJ. She does music reactions on YouTube. She's super
Mhm.
famous. I listened to her reaction to the first half. I haven't listened to her reaction to the second half. But when she first listened to the song, she was super confused. Like
Okay.
she asked her fan, like her Patreon, what um the album was going to be about, because she's not a Swiftie, so she didn't really know,
Yeah.
but she wanted to know what to expect going into it. Um because like with folklore, she was like super confused about the concept because she didn't know like what the concept was supposed to be. So
Mhm.
she didn't want to have that experience again. So everyone said like, "Oh, it's gonna be an album about her breakup with Joe." And then she listens to this
Ah.
song and she was like, "They're married? What do you mean?" Like she was super confused by the lyrics. And
Yeah.
I kind of like think that if you aren't super into the lore, this track is super confusing lyrically.
Yeah.
Like obviously this song is about, it's about essentially like Taylor is with someone else. She has this muse that she used to be with and that she was with for a fortnight, and like now they're neighbors, and she's stuck for the rest of her life looking at this guy be with somebody else, and it's it's ruining her life pretty much. That's what the song is about. Um but and like it kind of makes sense cuz like she's in context of like what what it is like with Maddie and Joe.
Mm-hmm.
But and it's a good opener, but I can get why it's like super confusing to some people on first listen about like what is this about? What am I getting into? Um it's also an interesting place to start the album, I find, like without like addressing the Joe stuff. I feel like
Yeah.
I know she puts all of her sad songs on track 5, but I feel like we needed to start with the Joe tracks and then move into like her like rebound and like all of that kind of stuff, and then like her acceptance, and like it needed to go in that order versus like starting here and then like going back to like So Long London, which we'll get to. So personally, it's not one of my favorite openers of an album because like it doesn't really set you up to know where you're going next, but it's a really good song on a standalone, and I can see why it was chosen as a single. I think it was a good choice for a single.
When with you talking about the timeline of things, I think this is one of my main things that I think is why it took me so long to attach to the album, because I was so confused in like how this was placed. But I think the more I've listened to it, the more of understanding I've got. Like the timeline of the album is really quite messy, right? Like a lot of the songs, like you would think it would go from muse to like muse like now, but it goes, it sort of does do that, but it also loops back to like using some like references to like two different muses in some songs, and it's like, and I think it does create that perfect sort of delusion and like confusion around like a breakup and the feelings of a breakup. Like
Yeah.
because you could be like, say you're with a rebound, you've constantly still got the feelings of like
The
the confusion
original
of the
person.
original,
Yeah.
like yeah. And I think it, because I was confused, because I was like, I was expecting it to go from like obviously like from one to one, if it was like if it was that type of album, and then there would be some mentions of like two of them in a song, and I'd be like, or like some references to like certain things in a song, and I'd be like, okay, this is a little bit confusing. But I think with more listens, it's something that I've understood a lot more, um,
Yeah.
which is like really interesting. I think that I think that's why it's the whole album is a lot to take in for people that I think, and that's why I think a lot of people have taken a lot more time to get into it, and it's also that paired with like all the underlying lyrics and like references within the song, um,
Mhm.
because there's just a lot within these lyrics. Like lyrically, Taylor is incredible, as we know, um, but like just the lyrics, like all the mornings are Mondays stuck in an endless February, gosh, Mondays. So obviously like Mondays, you feel, you wake up in a Monday morning and you feel so like groggy and crappy, and it's contrasted with
Yeah.
the February. But like February's the shortest month, so like why is it endless? And it's like a perfect like contrast of like
I
that.
actually saw a tweet earlier today that was like, oh, the like endless like the Mondays lyric is a reference to in Paper Rings when she's like, I want your dreary Mondays. Um
See, there's so much to
but
these. I
like
still didn't even see that.
I don't know if that's like an intentional reference, but it is still like
Yeah.
really interesting because I think like when you write 11 albums, which Taylor has, and like when you write 31 songs, I just want to like, some Swifties say like, oh, so these things are Easter eggs, or these things are this or that. Like you're bound to repeat imagery when you write that many songs. It's just the
Yeah.
way that it is. Um and sometimes they might be intentional and sometimes they might not be. And then also like um so it's hard for us to know. I really wish that Taylor did more deep dives into her writing process. Like we kind of got it a little bit with Lover because of Miss Americana.
Mm-hmm.
Um but like I just I would love to have like a whole 2-hour podcast of Taylor and Jack and Aaron talking about how they made the album. They did it with Folklore with Long Pond Studio, but like literally just like talking about each track, you know, how this song came to be. Like, did Taylor get the track and then she wrote it? did she write half of this song? Like, I think also a reason
Yeah.
why in the album you think, oh, these things are about Joe, and then it switches to something else, is because you can write 3 lyrics and really, really like those lyrics when you're going through a shitty time, and then all of a sudden you're in the studio a month later and all this other stuff has happened, and you take those 3 lyrics and you build it up into something else, and those
Yeah.
3 lyrics had to do with the original thing, and now you're talking about something else that happened within that month. That's how songwriting is. You take things and you bring them back. And so it's not just like, oh, this thing happened to me tonight, so I'm going to write a whole song about it.
Yeah.
This is not how it
Although
works.
we know Taylor, she could write songs in like 10 minutes,
Oh,
so
yeah.
that definitely does happen.
Yeah, it does. But it doesn't happen with everything. But I
No,
think
yeah.
it's just like, yeah, interesting how like the imagery. And I think that if this was any other artist, like most other artists, we don't know like the muses that they're talking about in the song. So like we don't analyze it like this. Um, so it's just like, and I feel like Taylor would do something like that to talk about her writing process if people wouldn't hyper analyze it to figure out
Yeah.
what each song is about, which really sucks because from a
That'd be
music
sick.
fan's perspective, I'm like super curious to know those kinds of things, like production process and all of that, because this is an album that's super good, and to do 31 tracks is an incredible feat, so I would be interested. Anyway, we kind of got off track. But yeah, that's Fortnite.
Oh, I've got
Um,
so much more to say.
oh, do you want to keep going? Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Keep going.
Right, okay, this is the thing that's going to come up a lot, so there's going to be a lot of references that I've listed down. So, obviously we know one of the muses, and a majority of the album resembles around the time that look, we don't want to make this too much about the muses, but there is going to be times where 1975 references come up, and this is more of like a credit to Taylor's writing and like how she thinks about stuff. So this will come up a couple times. I've got my good friend Jen, shout out, big 1975 fan, as well as like I tried to do some diving myself, but there's been so much on socials and everything about it because there's a lot of references. But I just want to quickly say, I took the miracle move on drug, the effects are temporary, is such a beautiful lyric because it's like talking about how love is like an addicting substance and it's like long-term suffering, short-term high. Beautiful. Anyway, so correlation with this track is with 1975 track When We Are Together. There's a lot of like similarities within writing of the lyrics. So Taylor's lyrics are like run into you sometimes, ask about the weather, and we were together, like comment on my sweater and stuff. Like these are like used within it. And 1975's is within this track of When We Are Together is like you ask about the cows wearing my sweater, something about the weather, and we are together. And it's like small things of like these could be something that are like meant, but there could also not be. But it's also quite interesting to see how there's a lot of music similarities. There's a lot of video similarities within the music video of the 1975 Truman Black music video. So and also this 2 weeks after the 19th is the 3rd of May, which is when that close your ears if you're traumatized, but that I love you back and forth thing happened on stage. I think it was Matty done it first, I don't know. But there's a lot of similarities in the music video for Truman Black to this Fortnite music video. So the intro card is a white room, black titled centered text. The crown part, there's also like a bit in the Truman music video that like is the same style. I don't have the images. I will find the images and put them up here.
So I'm like super curious because like the music video is based around the Dead Poets Society, so like it could be a fact that they just both were based on the Dead Poets Society and that was just like a coincidence. Then it was like super intentionally, like it makes sense that Taylor based the music video off the Dead Poets Society, but like it just like I'm just wondering if that was like intentional or we don't know. We don't have an answer, but I just like I'm curious.
I'm not like one that's listened to the song Truman Black or like so I would need to understand the lyrics, which I should have probably done, but I've been analysing this
No,
way too
it's
much.
okay.
But the scene with the dog on the dog running past when she's in like that area. There's Matty on the beach with the dog, the black dog, like running in front of the screen. And then where Taylor and Post are lying down on the ground, there is the similar spot where Matty is lying next to Matty on the ground as well. And then there's a reference to Maroon 5 tweeted like time and time ago, with the 1975 album cover. They were using something that looked similar to like Maroon 5's or something. And then Matty tweeted saying, I don't know what the fuck that is, but I love that song about being in a phone box or whatever it is. And then in the music video, Post Malone is in a phone box and Taylor's sitting on top of it. So who knows? There's just a lot of references which we'll go over as as we progress through the album. But I also don't want to take up all of your time, so that's all I'm gonna say. But yeah, I don't know, because some of these are quite. There's a lot more lyrically down the line, but that was just some of the ones that are mentioned, and it's hard because some of them might not be purposeful, because they are like quite similar topics, and obviously, as you were saying, like the music video is based on the Dead Poets Society, which is also kind of leans into the next track of how the name of the album came about. But we can go on to break down the next track if you're up for that.
Yeah, so the next track is the Tortured Poets Department. This song has a ton of name drops. I love the Lucy one. Absolutely hilarious. Anyway, this song is like, it's pretty much about her making fun of the Tortured Poets Department shit. Like it's really funny because I saw in some reviews that I was reading, and I can't recall which reviews they were, so I'm so sorry. But they were like, she called this album the Tortured Poets Department, but like the writing doesn't feel specifically tortured. And it's like, well, like, you do realize if you listen to the song, the Tortured Poets Department, she's literally making fun of the concept. Like, it is satire. Not that this whole album was meant to be like extremely depressing tortured poetry. It's like,
which I'm quite
it's
sad
almost
about.
like funny. Yeah, but like it's just funny. Like, it is what most of us expected, but like also I love how it's satire. Like, it's, I love how she's making fun of him because he deserves to be made fun of. Like, fuck that guy. Sorry.
Hey guys, we're not gonna make this about the Muses. No, I'm just kidding.
Sorry.
No, it's okay. I've got so much to say on this as well. So
Taylor's music is not about men; it's about the music, and I think like that's like important that like you can separate a song from who it's about and think about the song in your own way, like you do with most other artists, because most other artists we don't have information about who it's about.
Yeah.
But this song is like very specific in certain ways, but I like, to me, this song is just like a vibe. It's maybe not my favorite, but like it's just like a song that like I can like sing along to and lose myself in. I think the production is super fun, and sonically like it's okay. Like, I mean, it's not anything to write home about, but like it's fun. And I also want to say that the ring thing, that how he took the ring off his off her middle finger and put it on her ring finger, if anybody does that to you, fuck them. That is insane.
Yeah.
I know it's meant to be cute, but like,
I
God.
took it as a completely opposite way. I took it as quite like not manipulative, but it's almost like, oh, like if like I could give you all these things like really quickly, and it's also like kind of prining on the fact that she has mentioned marriage and stuff so much, and so it's like kind of like promising her something that's like is like a way of like getting her like really fast in a way. It's weird.
It's weird because he obviously knew that she just got out of a relationship where she like marriage is like a big thing, and like I just think like it's extremely fucked up to do that to someone. So anyway, Jack, what are your thoughts on this track?
This is like one of not it's not sonically like super like in depth and like amazing. But it is. I just really love the vibe of it. I think the lyrics are like really tongue in cheek. And also just like the story that's been told here is, I really love when like things are like to do around this like muse and this period of time. She almost refers back to like a really childish state in terms of the way she writes her word, like how the way she writes it. Because of like the whole thing but you told Lucy you'd kill yourself if I ever leave, and I said the same thing. Like that's quite a childish. It's not childish, but it's almost like a be
It's
all and
very
end all.
it's also like very blunt, right? Like she's just telling us how it is. She's not like using any imagery like she does in some other songs. She's just like, yeah, you
Yeah,
know,
yeah, we said that.
this happened.
It's also quite awkward because Lucy and don't even thingy anymore after they said that thing. So there's again, like this is probably one of my favorite. I've got a top six, and this is probably one of the top six of just this album, and then it splits down into the different album, and there's like different songs that I'd prefer in my top six and stuff. But I'm just gonna go over the lyrics quickly. There's a couple of lyrics that I just find really interesting. So throwing spikes down on the road, but I've seen this episode and still love the show. This is a high reference to Law and Order, obviously where she got Olivia's name from. And I just kind of love, I do love it. I think it's really cool. And back to the 1975 stuff. Sorry, this is going to happen a lot. You smoked then 87 bars of chocolate. Chocolate is a 1975 song. Smoking is obviously like, that's kind of like his thing. I scratch your head, you fall asleep. Reference to a 1975 song, Nana. It's not the same when I scratch my own head. But you awaken with dread, pounding nails in your head. The muse has spoken about his struggles with nightmares before, and I quoted saying, I spend so much of my life being scared, wanting to go to sleep so much, physically because of the bliss of it, but being so terrified of it because of the nightmares. I keep telling people about my nightmares, but people don't really listen to me that much, he says. Nightmares and migraines are the two defining problems in my life. So damn. And also a comment that has been made in the past from a tweet where the muse said, that Charlie Puth and Boys Two Men track is hard. A lot of people have taken this lyric as like they're bigging up Charlie, but I've also seen things being like, oh, they're taking the piss, which is, I think that's the way I take it.
I think they're taking the piss. I think I think it's just kind of like a throwaway lyric a little bit, but like I think it's like really, like I said, how blunt this song is, and she's just like saying random shit. Like it's like I said, she's not using any metaphors or anything. Like, and the fact that this is the song that's called the Tortured Poets Department, like it just fully like solidifies the fact that she's like fully making fun of him in this song. Like it's so funny. But it's so good. Anyway, it's like, yeah, I don't know. Like some of the references that you mention are like, I don't know if those are really references. Like,
I think the "We Awaken with Dread, Pounding Nails in Your Head" is very like is what that refers to, right?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that one. But like the chocolate thing, I'm like, that's nothing to me.
You smoked and then ate 7 bars. I don't know what the 7 means, but chocolate is like, and their song "Chocolate" is about weed. So it's like, there is a lot of these things that are like, is it or is it a stretch? And it's, I think some of these lyrics are like chocolate. 7 bars of chocolate is such a weird lyric, so I think it could be a reference, but it's also like, it's hard to know. But I just think, like the song is quite blunt in the way it comes across, but it's also quite playful in terms of like the Dylan Thomas and Patti Smith stuff. And I think that's just fun. Like it's also
so fun.
Really interesting how she's like, you left your typewriter at my apartment, blah blah blah, and then it's like, I think some things I never say, like who uses a typewriter anyway, and then the whole push out for this album was her using like typewriters and stuff. So I think it's like really quite like fun how it's just been played off of and like sort of been used as the full rollout. And a lot of people have said this is like probably not a good title track song, but I think it is. it sets it
I
up
mean,
properly, right? And I don't think you could really do anything other than literally say
yeah,
why it's whatever.
called that. Yeah,
Yeah.
pretty much. Okay, well, yeah, in the interest of time, let's move on to the next track. My boy only breaks his favorite toys. Jack, do you want to speak to this first?
Um. Yeah. So, my gosh, this. I think this is one of the ones that took me a couple lessons to like fully
Mm-hmm.
like as much as I do now. I think this is like, because it's the other songs are they're a lot slower, right? This is like not hugely faster, but it's more like a little bit more. It's like everything she talks about in this song should be so heartbreaking, but it's like
Yeah.
she does it in such a like upbeat kind of way sometimes, right? And I think there's just a lot of contrasting within this song that links back to what you were saying earlier about her talking previous, like how a lot of songs and a lot of things from previous albums come up, and it's maybe not like it's maybe not meant to be a thing, but um it does come up. But there's also a lot of like really sad things here about, like, obviously rivulets to send my plastic smile, which is like refers to her, like, or like a fake smile she's putting on while she's like trying to hide the misery and everything for this relationship. But then there's lyrics like I'm a queen of sandcastles he destroys, which is contrasting king of my heart, which salute to me, I'm your American queen, we rule the kingdom inside my room. So I think it's like the boy is like referencing and like degrading the king part of it, and it's also much like the castles in the kingdom weren't actually what they seemed to be, so now they're made out of sand instead of this strong structure, which again is possibly me just reading into lyrics, but I think it's like stuff. This is really why I love how good she is at lyricism, because it allows you to set up these ideas in your head, which might not be true at all, but you're able to get these things and just like see them in your own way, right? But
Yeah. Like I feel like this track, like, it has, like you said, it has such a, it can be it's like what music is. I mean, it can be about so many different things in your life, and the sonically, like, it sounds a lot like a 1989 vault track to me. That's what I wrote down in my notes. Like it just like that's how all of the vault tracks sounds, with like the, like, I don't know, just the production's very similar. But I wanted to read, so Taylor, like, spoke about a few of the tracks on iHeartRadio, and this song was one of the tracks she spoke about. And she said, "My boy only breaks his favorite toys" is a song I wrote alone, and it's a metaphor of being somebody's favorite toy until they break you and then don't want to play with you anymore, which is how a lot of us are in relationships, where we are so valued by a person in the beginning, and then all of a sudden they break us or devalue us in their mind, and we're still clinging on to, no, 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 you should have seen them the first time they saw me. They'll come back to that. They'll get back to that. So it's kind of like a song about denial, really, so that you can live in this world where there's still hope for a toxic, broken relationship. And that's really sad, and it is something that most people can relate to, and I think this song it's perfect. Yeah, I wouldn't say it's like one of my favorites, but it's a good song.
yeah, you've stole my job. That was taking Taylor's comments. That's my thing. No, I'm just kidding. I was like so proud of you there. I was like, I've written that down. I'm not saying it, but I was like, when you said it, I was like, oh my god, so good. But no, that sums it up really good. She's done a really good job there. Which in that quote, I think it does. How do you feel about that King of My Heart thing? That I don't know if it is real, but I think in my head I've made that up. But I also kind of like it.
Yeah, I like it. I don't know if it's like intentional or real, but like I like it.
Thanks, because I think we don't really know who the muse is, and we're not really
No,
thingy, so it could
but like
be, but
I'm sorry, I don't need to insert a man every time I listen to
no,
Taylor
yeah, that is
Swift.
true. No, that is true. That is true. I think like whenever I think of like pulling in like rep lyrics and like lover lyrics, I think it can only make sense if it is about that one person, but it doesn't have to be. Like, it could just be
Like,
like reference
the
in that, right?
people who say that they can't listen to Lover anymore are literally insane, because like I listen to like Lover all the time. I listen to King of My Heart. It is still like a song for me that's about me and my boyfriend. It's not about Taylor and Joe. In my head when I listen to it. And that's how music should be for everybody. Like, you don't have to be like, oh, this song isn't real because these two people broke up. Like, who cares? Literally, who cares? Anyway, we're going off track. Let's talk about the next track, Down Bad. Um, so Down Bad is track 4 on the album. It's produced by Jack again. It's one of my favorite songs.
Okay, slay.
It's such a vibe. Like, I love, like, I don't know. It's just like a song that like you can really vibe to, which I love.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, like lyrically, it's super interesting. Like the amount of time she references dying in this album is great. Like so real. Like me, every time there's an inconvenience, might as well just die. Anyway. This time, Jack, do you want to read the Taylor reference? Because I want to talk about the alien stuff, but you should read the Taylor quote this time.
Okay, I will do it. Yeah, because all my like lyric breakdowns are about aliens, and I felt like I was going a little bit insane. So the song, Taylor said, or confirmed at least, this song is a metaphor comparing it to being love bombed, where someone rocks your world and dazzles you, and then just kind of abandons you. She was abducted by aliens, but wants to stay with them. Oh wait, I think this is going into what I said, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
So this is kind of what I came from it. So that she was abducted by aliens, but wants to stay with them, but then dropped off, and you feel just lost and confused. So aliens, obviously, she doesn't want to be with aliens, but like the muse in this song is like so it's someone like pretty much otherworldly. She sees as otherworldly. And she's been like abducted from like such a horrible situation, and like taken up and shown whole like new world and this whole new like interesting feeling and vibe and energy, but then you're dropped off like it just feeling lost and confused to like what happened, why did it happen, where did it end, and how did it end wrong. Like you've been exposed to the best of the galaxy and what's out there, but you don't want to go back, you don't want to go back to like real life. And then talks about how the bad press and everything that they like that her and the muse got, almost like she wanted to run away to where everyone can like see him the same as she does, and like envision him as like what she actually sees him as, and so that she can keep him forever. Which is, we'll go into the lyrics and everything, but what's your thoughts and everything?
Like, I love how subtly this reference is done, but in like such an inclusive way of like the whole track, like the whole alien thing. Like I definitely got it when I listened to it. I was like, yeah, but like there were definitely some people on Twitter who did not get it, and TikTok, specifically TikTok. Sorry, I'm being a hater, but
Wonder how
like
those fake Facebook Swifties got on.
oh no, they were even worse. But like I definitely saw some people who didn't get it, so I'm happy that like she actually talked about it in her iHeartRadio interview, because I think people needed to get it. But it's such a cool metaphor, and like I love how she's like crying at the gym. Anyway, that's like fun.
Me, because I never work out, and when I go to the gym I'm in pain. No, I'm just kidding.
So true. But yeah, I don't know, Jack, what do you think?
So I just have lyrics that like sort of like and my thoughts on them. So everything comes out teenage petulance, goes back to like a childish look on love, and I think that I said like when she's with this muse, it's because there's been stuff since 2014. I feel like she reverts back to like a more childish like way of writing and storytelling, which is like done on purpose, because I think it's
yeah, I think it's also like related to like having a tantrum. Like she is upset about something like that should be irrelevant. Like she has so much other stuff in her life, so why is she like so upset about like losing some guy she barely even had? Um, and so I think that's also why she says teenage petulance. At least that's how I understood it. But I think your perspective is also like interesting, and could be taken that way too, for sure.
But it was just, yeah, because like what you said about like having like being mad about, like that's something that you would do as
Mm-hmm.
like when you're younger. I don't know, it comes across an album a lot, but there's other ones where it's like Down Bad Waking Up in Blood, which is like landed from the ship after being dropped off with all like the cuts
Yeah.
and bruises from the relationship, like, and it's quite interesting because it's like with all of this you still want it to come back, which is just interesting. Obviously not
Mm-hmm.
physical cuts and bruises, but like metaphorical cuts and bruises, like from like the
Yeah.
media and everything. Fuck it, if I can't have us, I might just not get up, I might stay. And then this comes to like what the feeling of down bad actually is, like what the definition is, and it's feeling or marked by strong unusual unrequited feelings of attraction, desire and infatuation. Taylor was so infatuated with this person that when the relationship did not work out the way she intended, she felt depressed and hopeless. Did you take all my clothes, just leave me here naked and alone, call back to dress, stop. Which is also why my brain goes like, this timeline is so interesting, because
Yeah.
timeline would be like something else, right? So that's kind of why it was confused in my head. But I really like this way of writing because it does display like what your feelings are through this whole process, right? And I feel
Mm-hmm.
in my own town, my same old town, the existence of you continues the metaphor of being swept away with someone otherworldly, being abducted and dropped off. Just like when people say they've been abducted in real life, they're looked at like they're crazy. So she's saying that here, but in return she's telling people the experiences she had while no one believes her because of how he acts in public and how he is in real life, and how other people perceive him, whereas she perceives him as something completely different. Encounters closer and closer, continuing the alien theme. Close Encounters is a space film. Love the reference. How dare you say
Mm-hmm.
that? It's she can't finish a sentence or come to the fact, or like come to the terms that the relationship is over. Same with what she does in Last Kiss, leaving it just at last. She's not ready to admit that it's over. How dare you think it's romantic, leaving me safe and stranded, calls back to the imagery in New Romantics that is no longer romantic, but it's no longer romantic to be left alone. Please take my hand,
Mm-hmm.
please take me dancing, and please leave me stranded. It's so romantic, it's so romantic. Crazy,
Yeah.
crazy, crazy.
Uh,
People hate this song as
I
well. Like, people have literally
People
said,
hate this song.
so many of the reviews have said, this is silly, this is such a silly, like, such a silly, like, story and imagery to tell. And yeah, I get it. This album is such an album for the fans. Like, I think,
Oh yeah. I don't really like I mean, we'll talk about like the album as a
yeah,
whole as at the end, but I think like in terms of its fit on the album, I can kind of get why they're like, oh, it doesn't fit, but like also like I who cares? It's a good song. And like it's like it's it's such a vibe. Like I think like it's fun. It's um yeah, like you said, it's so for the fans. It's such a it's it's similar to like My Boy Only Breaks His Favorite Toys. It's like such a common experience that people go through specifically after a long-term relationship, going into like what Taylor is literally describing, her every single emotion of like that she went through after her long-term breakup, which included like a rebound and what she literally described as a manic phase. Um, and this is part of those emotions. And like, yeah, you might think it's childish or whatever, but that's literally why she says it's childish in the song. But those are real emotions, and she put every single one of those emotions into this album, and I think that's important. And the fact that it doesn't feel like it fits just shows that like those emotions are a little bit of a whirlwind. The same way why people like how people say Lover like doesn't feel cohesive as an album, like falling in love and like also like being at the end of a honeymoon phase of a relationship and like starting to have to deal with like some challenging things can also feel like a little bit of a whirlwind, hence the album feeling like that. And I think that Taylor well intentionally, either intentionally or unintentionally, she's capturing that like in this album very well, and this track is a good example of it.
yeah,
Um,
Next one.
yeah.
I
Track 5.
This song, So Long London. Please, please tell me I'm not going insane. See, after the initial 20 seconds,
Yeah.
the intro, like, I
It's
sound so crazy, but it sounds like Call It What You Want. Like, it sounds.
okay. I'm gonna listen to it again because I need to hear it.
So
Okay, just give me
just
like 2 seconds.
so it's after the first 20 seconds and then cut to like Call It What You Want afterwards.
Okay, I'm hearing that. I'm gonna listen to Call It What You Want now, just to like.
Yeah, like after sort of like the synthy stuff dies down, like the beat, it sounds so similar.
There's more bass in the other song, but it's quite similar. I see what you're saying now. You're not crazy.
Okay, thank God. It doesn't
That's
even
so
reflect or like thingy anything, but I hear it and I can really get out of it.
Yeah.
But this song, the Graves, the top. I'm gonna let you talk first because I'm just gonna ramble. How do you feel about this song?
The song is so sad. It is. It's so sad. I don't know where to start, but I'm gonna start sonically. So like, the backing track on this song is super interesting because it's not what you expect it to be. Like, you think that it should just be like piano, like very cut back, and like there is so much bass in the track. But I talked about this with Lizzie McAlpine's album as well. If you guys listen to that review, it's because of the production, it takes you into what she's feeling, and then her vocals as well. I think Aaron has done an incredible job with this, and same with Taylor. Like, pretty much, if you try to sing along with this song, you literally cannot unless you do it in a way that you're like on the verge of crying, because that's your pacing in the song. It's like how you sound when you're like about to start crying, and that's like so sad. And then you close your eyes and you listen to the track and you feel like your whole world is spinning around you, and like they really take you into what Taylor must have been feeling at the time, like having what you knew as your whole life like taken from you. Like, that's how it feels. And I think that's like so beautiful. And I think people who are saying this is a bad track 5 are stupid. Like, I'm so sorry. They are dumb. This is this is one of Taylor's most devastating track 5s. And I'm not going to go into like, I don't think it matters to like really investigate every single lyric in this track, because I mean, it comes across as like, obviously Taylor loved Joe and it didn't work out, and it was a very long breakup that they went through. And I think it's like, it was almost like, they had this buildup of bad things happening, and then it just doesn't work anymore because people change, lives change, and then you break up. And I think people are saying, why are there so many songs about Maddie and not about Joe? Like, Taylor must be so in love with Maddie. Like, first of all, shut up. Second of all, who cares? Third of all, like, when you go through, there's some people that are much harder to write about, and when you go through a breakup like she is describing in this song, which is absolutely heart-wrenching and maybe didn't have a significant rhyme or reason to break up, like a specific thing that happened, like he cheated or they got in a huge fight and then they broke up. It's so much harder to write about that or feel angry, because a lot of the songs in this album are rooted on anger, but because they're rooted on anger with Maddie, because she needed to feel that anger at someone, and because she couldn't with Joe, because like she had kind of already processed that because she processed it before they broke up.
Yeah.
Like it just means that it was harder for her to write about it. I think a lot of those songs existed in Folklore, Evermore, and Midnights, and were disguised as like other being about other things, or people thought they were about other things, but that's she had already processed those hardships in their relationship in previous albums, and now she's just like being sad about it. The one lyric that I absolutely love that I am going to point out is, "You swore that you loved me, but where were the clues? I died at the altar waiting for the proof." Where it's so sad. It is so sad. Like the proof, she's obviously talking about the wedding ring, and like I just like, oh,
she would have married him with paper rings, man. Come on, it's not hard. Oh,
it sucks. Anyway, you go ahead, because I talked a lot.
No, it's okay. This gives me like interest in Lana vibes, the way she comes at the like sonically, like
yeah,
which is stunning.
It
also adds to like,
interesting
the track.
You say that, because Jack is not a producer on this, and it's just Aaron.
I know, right?
And so you would think that it would be Jack, and originally I thought it was Jack, but because it kind of sounds a little more like a Jack song, because it has more bass in it. But like I said, I think that was definitely a decision that they had, for sure, made.
Yeah, again, like it's honestly one of the most heartbreaking songs. I think if there was any other song that could have been part of this track 5, it's so hard to choose one. Maybe love LOML.
I think so.
LOML.
I think yeah.
But
I think that
perfect.
I think that it was the right choice. I think that like they're both sad in their own ways, but I think that this is the track 5. This is the track 5.
Really leans into her voice, right? And Aaron smashed it out of the park with this. And it's like, it's when she gets more like annoyed in her voice, it's sort of like the production gets layered a wee bit more, so it's like really interesting. A couple lyrics, there's only a couple. I'm a fiend for this, I know, sorry. I saw in my mind fairy lights through the mist killed me, because like the one stated we could leave our Christmas lights up till January are now misted and unclear as the path of the relationship fogs up as it like ends and gets like really clouded and like messy, and I kept calm and carried the weight of the rift. Keep calm and carry on is like a London slogan, which if it is not purposeful isn't crazy. I stopped CPR after all, it's no use. Parallels to you're losing me. Stop, you're losing me. I can't find a pulse, my heart won't start anymore. It's crazy. But the lyrics, okay, the lyrics I need to comment on.
No.
2 graves, 1 gun. I'll find someone, and then it's like you'll find someone. It's like the switching between them, heartbreaking, because it's like toying between who's going to pull the trigger and end the relationship. But then it looks like currently at the end of the song, I think this is what I'm getting from it, is she pulls the trigger on herself, allowing him to like the relationship to end because she's taking the brunt of it. And it's like that's why it ends with you'll find someone. So it's like she's taking the bullet and she's ended the relationship on herself, like on them. So she's like taking the brunt of the force, while him, like obviously she's like taking all of the everything that comes with it, right? And allowing him to be like, oh, you'll find someone else. But that was the, oh my god, see, the first listen I was like, it was like you'll find someone, and it was like for so long London, stitches undone, 2 graves, 1 gun, I'll find someone. I was like, what is going on? She's like toying between like what's going to happen, like who's going to end this relationship in terms of like shooting the gun, like right, oh crazy.
And it goes back to the concept that I literally said, like that's like that they were in the state of knowing they should have broken up, been breaking up for a long time, but who's gonna do it?
Yeah.
And that's why like she doesn't have any like tea to spill that people were expecting, because she already did that.
Yeah. And like it's with the you'll find someone at the end, it's like she's trying to reassure herself so she doesn't feel as bad about ending a relationship even though it should have ended. Crazy. It's so that perfect track 5, and I cannot understand why people don't like this. I genuinely cannot. Like
no.
We're gonna ramble, but it's such a good track 5. Yeah, literally. Yeah, that's all I'm gonna say. said a lot, but that's all I'm gonna say.
Track 6 is But Daddy I Love Him. So this song, produced by both Aaron and Jack, is one of my favorites on the album, I think.
Wow,
it's
okay.
so good. The chorus is like addictive. It is so good. Also like the I'm having his baby, no I'm not, you should see your
Did you
face.
just get shocked by that?
I was like reading the lyrics when I was listening, so I
okay.
kind of got spoiled.
I've seen so many videos of people being like, what? And then be like, oh, god damn it. It's so funny. Oh my gosh. Okay. What did you think, since this is one of your favorites then?
Okay, I think that this is like super interesting. Okay, so the concept of the song is she's attacking her fans for judging her.
Slay, by the way. As she should. I think it's so important.
Like she's essentially saying like everybody has an opinion on things,
Yeah.
and like I just want to do me. And I heard a lot of people saying, which I completely agree with, that like after the whole like when she goes like fuck it, it's over, then the song like shifts from like talking about Maddie to talking about Travis, when she's like, now everybody loves my relationship. And I think that makes a lot of sense. I think that's such a cool thing to do within the song, kind of like switch the music. It's like confusing if you don't know the concept, but like it's pretty cool. And like a lot of things that she says about her fans is like, you know, it's just like hilarious to me because it's kind of like giving, but it's also funny because like she kind of admits that they were right, but in a different way. It's like she talks about this, and we'll go through that at the end of the anthology, I think, but she talks about this in the epilogue of the album, where she says like, you know, it was self-harm, like, and it was a manic phase, it was self-harm, like what she was going through. But she also, I think this song is not her being like, oh, you guys were so wrong, like Maddie is the best person ever. It's her saying like, I was going through hell, and like everyone was warning me about it, but you just have to trust me, because in the end I'll get there. Hence the song ending with like her eventually being with Travis. And I think some people are interpreting in the wrong way, where she's being like, oh, like, you know, we were right, like it's kind of messed up to say that, like, you know, you shouldn't intrude on our, when we were like literally right. And I'm like, yeah, Maddie's not a good person, we all know that, and like Taylor shouldn't have dated him, but she knows that too. And like at the end of the day, people, it's very common to date a really shitty person for a short amount of time right after a long-term relationship breaks up. Like, so many people go through that, but most people don't go through that in the spotlight. And so she's just kind of like telling everyone, like, let me just be a human and trust that, like, I can make good decisions.
Like, I think she's come at like a lot of tracks like this, and I really like it. Like, I kind of, in my summary of the album, it's like she's not pulling back anymore, and I'd really like that. Like, again, some of the songs coming up as well, like, why isn't she allowed to say this stuff? Like, why is she not allowed to make these mistakes that other people are allowed to make, even that are celebrities and in the public eye? Like, why is she held at such a different high standard that, like, it's crazy? So like, why isn't she allowed to talk on these? And she should. Like, setting up a boundary between fans and when it comes to certain things is a good thing to do. Like, I think as Swifties, like, we're actually not like as held by boundaries as we probably should be, right? Considering like the whole wedding thing and everything, and also that, like, I know you can't come to the wedding. There's people being like, is that a dig? And it possibly could be, maybe not, but that's quite funny if it is, because you shouldn't be fucking going to the wedding. So yeah, I don't know. There's a lot in it. Like, one of my favorite lyrics is, and how I kind of referred to it, or like how I kind of thought about it, is like, so it's like, now I'm running with my dress unbuttoned. So the way I envision it is, obviously this song is compared to like Love Story a wee bit, in terms of like how like it's like her dad doesn't approve, and like that's kind of how it is in like Love Story. But it's like I was saying, it could be like cannot speak, could be referred to like how rushed the relationship was after Joe and everything, and how fast the decision was, and hence like she's not had time to like button up the dress, and it's like how insecure she felt during it because of like how explosive he was. So it's like
I
it's
feel
not
like
fully
it's
like
more
buttoned
of a
up.
like a. I feel like it's more of like a careless thing.
Okay, yeah, that's fair.
Um,
Yeah,
that's what I took it as. Like she's just like being careless and like doing whatever she wants. She doesn't need to button up her dress because she doesn't really feel like it. You know?
slay. Yeah, I mean, there's nothing kind of just like, yeah, like if she wants to go with someone that's gonna ruin her PR, then that's should be her choice. Like there's constant critique from online. Everyone and she doesn't have the opportunity to make the mistakes that everybody else does. Um,
Yeah.
People have come out to say their disapproval towards her and Matty are only to be on the good side of the situation. So like people that hate her and stuff are like, it's so weird that all these people that don't care about her are coming out to comment on like a relationship, and it's like that's the line about the empath's clothing and stuff, and yeah, it's like ultimately being like, yeah, people want the best for her, but like she knows what's best for her. Like no, none of us know. So, and it's like obviously the whole Little Mermaid reference. It's like she had her voice taken from her, unable to make the decision that she actually wanted to do because everybody else made it for her. So, yeah.
Yeah. It's so good, and sonically, like we've talked a lot lyrically, but I think sonically I really like this song. Like it's the production in it, like there's like a full band on this recording, and you can tell because like you can hear it, and I think I like that. I like hearing instruments, which is why like some of the songs that are like really overproduced, like all the synths and stuff, are not always my favorite, but yeah, I really like the sound of it.
It's that chorus. It's like, and I'm running with my dress unbuttoned, screaming for daddy, I love him, I'm having his baby. It's so good. It's good. But I get what you're saying about the synthesizer, and there's a lot that kind of relates to a lot of the tracks. It's like maybe without a synth, it could be crazy. And there's one song that I mentioned about it because it without the synth, there's no synth on it, and holy crap, the production is crazy on it, and I love it. I just love the stripped back version of it. But yeah, that's actually interesting. I've not got that as one of my favorites, but it's like it is a good song. But it's there's so many good bangers on this. Like there's so many good songs. Fresh Out the Slammer.
Anyway, yeah, Fresh Out the Slammer is the next track. This is not one of my favorites, so I'm gonna let you talk about it first. I don't have anything bad. I just
yeah. I don't really have any negative. I just said the production is stunning. I really love how it gives like an old jailbird film type like feel to it, like the room, like the synth sounds in the back. I can't recreate it, but like it sounds like you would hear it in like an old jail like type bird film. I'd said I would really love, like I've been screaming, especially with the country craze right now. There is a couple songs on this album that have Texas theming constantly throughout the song, and like sound like the way, like, see if she would just end a couple words with that country twang, it would just sound like so different, and I really want to hear it. And I think if I was to hear it on some of the songs, this would have been a good one. I think it just plays in with like the whole theming as well of it, because it feels really like Wild Western. And it's like coming from what do you call it? So it's like there's a lot of like kind of like that kind of vibe to it, but there's also like I've seen a lot of this like around the album, because sometimes it sounds like she's just saying sentences and not like singing stuff that's cohesive. And I think if there was ever something that I could ever get from what they've said there, it's like maybe verse 2, but that also plays into the song, like the camera flashes, welcome back. It's like sounds like she's just saying words, which I do get there is some things on it where I'm like, okay, well, it sounds like sometimes you'll hear it where people like, thing is Lizzie does it, but she's really good at it. Like she'll do like she's done it on ceilings and stuff before, but it's like the way she just starts with like a word and then she transfers it into something else is really interesting. But if I was to ever get something, that's kind of where I'd get it from. But I didn't really see it as a negative.
I think like it's not done on all the tracks, and I think where it is done, it kind of
Yeah.
it fits. Like it's not. It doesn't sound weird. Like it's part of like the bluntness of the way she wants that to be delivered, to be heard in that way. And I don't know. I think I agree with what you're saying. I think my problem with this song is there's no chorus after the bridge.
Mm-hmm.
Like she needs to go back into the I wish she went back into the chorus and then did the outro line, like, but it's going to be all right. I did my time. I just feel like I'm like, what happened?
It's
like,
quite a long song as well for like that not to happen. And I can't even remember how it
Yeah.
plays out like without that, but
no, it just like fades out and I'm like, okay, like play the chorus again.
I get you. It does feel weird when she ends things on a
Yeah.
bridge, right? But
I think that's my problem. I just can't get over that. I'm so sorry, but I just can't. And like sonically it's okay. Like it's just like the song is just like, I think maybe I need more time with this song specifically, but like it doesn't hook me. It's just kind of like, it's lyrically it's great. I think like the concept of her like getting out of her relationship and then like going to something familiar is interesting and like relatable, but I don't know, there's something wrong with it sonically that I can't like get hooked on it. But I still think like it fits well within the album and it's a good song.
I really love how it transitions, because so Fresh Out of Slammer is obviously like you've been in this relationship for so long and you want something different, so like you're out of what would be classed as like the jail, like you, it's like
Yeah.
not referring to the muse as like being as like you were in jail, but like a long time in somewhere that you want like something fresh, so like you're fresh out of the slammer. But it transfers into Florida, which is like a typical stereotypical location where like criminals flee to like start fresh, which is like such a good transfer into like the song.
That's so, and it's also like she in the song she talked about like freedom kind of.
Yeah, and then she talks about the heat and stuff, like the police. I like that's kind of where it starts. So it's yeah,
like you can beat the heat if you beat the charges too. So let's move on to talk about Florida. This is like this is one of my early favorites. Like on first listen, I was like, oh, I like this song. And I think it's because of how bold the production is that it really stood out to me right away. It didn't just blend in with everything else, which is how you interpret things on first listen for sure. But I think as time has gone on, it still remained my favorite. Not my favorite, but like it still remained in one of my top songs on the album. I think Florence is like, her delivery is very unique, but it does fit on this track. Like that's like the one thing that like is always interesting, because her and Taylor's delivery is very different. They're both great, love both of them, but it's almost like a good contrast to have on this track. I don't know, that's how I feel. I don't know how you feel about it, but overall, like the lyrics in this are pretty straightforward. She's just being like, you know, I'm getting away, I'm escaping, all the shit that happened to me. And sonically, like I love the drums, I love like how intense it feels. It's great.
It's I remember sitting here and I'm just checking to see. Yeah, okay, that's fine. So I was sitting here and I remember listening to it, and it was, oh my god, Florence's voice, man. It's like, what song is it? What part of the song is it? Yeah, it's when they come in with the hurricane with my name when it came. I was like, whoa, like what? Like it sounds like the delivery is insane, and I love how they're their voices and like how their delivery matches up on like the lyrics that are like layered. Like
Yeah.
it's a lot of people have said this is like an interesting collab, like they didn't really understand why, and that's fair, like it's so fair, but I think the way it's come across and the way it's been done, and we got a wee bit more of Florence, which is good, is like, I just think it's been done as perfectly as you could ever get Florence on a feature. It just goes really well. I love the sort of like tongue in cheek with like the whole like nobody. It gives me really like Nobody No Crime vibes.
Oh my god,
It's
yes.
so good, and it's like, what is that a bad thing to say in a song? I just love it because you can tell, like, if you could see like a music video from them or like how they recorded it, you can just tell they're like, it's like a wink to us, like it's just like a joke.
Yeah.
But
It's almost like they were like they like had this whole track and they were like they had this like one bit of the song that they hadn't written and they were like trying to figure out what fits in there, and they were just like making jokes. So they're like, haha, that fits, let's just put that in. Like
oh my god,
like how blunt can I be? And then they were just like, oh yeah.
no, that's actually, I really wish there would be like, I wish we had like a background again to what you were saying, how these songs were like produced and like why like they came about and how they came about. I'd love it. I would actually I'd pay so much money for it, even though we don't need to pay any more money. But it's the energy is like, see how you said about the drums and stuff. It's like, it's like, that's what I wrote in my notes. It was like, again, the production is so heavy and it's like it's charging this like energy. So the whole so Florida is obviously the show she was at after it got announced that it was that they'd broken up, right? Yeah. So like I take it as like she's gaining energy from the show, right, from the fans. So like I see this production is like charging up, like the energy's charging up through the production, and it's like it starts off like quite heavy already, but it like you can kind of feel it charging up, and it gets like a wee bit like louder, and then when those drums hit, like it's like dun dun dun, and it's like it just does it so perfectly. But the lyric is obviously like, Florida's one hell of a drug, Florida, can I use you up? It's like sort of like taking the energy from the audience within the show, like you're using their energy to also push you up, because obviously you were fucking going through like a shit time. And it's like it's just, there's not much to the lyrics in terms of like, it's just a fun song, but it's also, I really love the like the imagery of like her getting her like energy from the audience while she's going through this really shit time, and like we all kind of know she's going through this shit time and she doesn't really know how to deal with it, because it's like just kind of was sprung on her that it was going to be like published, and then it's like all this stuff. But I think it's really it's such a beautifully, like, there's a lot to say about production and Jack and everything, and but like this was done really good. Like this was genuinely one of like probably my favorite songs. Like not one of my favorite songs, but like one of my favorite songs he's ever produced, which is a lot. So it's hard. Like that's a lot.
Yeah, it's so good. Anyway, okay. Guilty as Sin is the next track. So this is probably my top song. No, it's not my top song. My top song's on the anthology, but this is one of my I think this is my top song. Actually, no. This is my second top song on the standard version.
Okay.
I haven't made a ranking. I'm just kind of like, yeah, I like these songs, you know.
Yeah.
But I've decided which one's my favorite, and this one's not my favorite. It's my second favorite. Okay. You'll find out which one my favorite.
I'm excited.
Is, later. It's like addictive when she goes, what if he's written mine on my upper thigh, only in my mind. Like that part, it's so good. And like just the concept, like obviously the song is like really relatable for queer people when she's like, what if the way you hold me is actually what's holy. They don't know, they're gonna crucify me anyway. Like I'm not speculating on like what Taylor is talking about in this song, but I do think like this song is definitely like really good in that way. I think the lyrics are okay. I just want to talk about it sonically as well, like how the the chorus like hits at the start, it's so good, because like obviously the choruses are the verses are pretty slow, and then like the chorus just hits and it's like you just want to get up and sing. Like I hope that if there's a Tortured Poets set on tour, this song is in it, because singing this live would be so much fun. And obviously she's just like, personally, like if I were to think about what Taylor is writing about in her situation, like I said, this is relatable for a ton of scenarios, which is what music should be, and it's really great, so we shouldn't attack people for interpreting songs in a certain way. But I think Taylor's like, pretty much she's like still in her relationship with Joe, maybe near the end or whatever, and she's being like thinking about someone else, potentially Maddie, maybe not, maybe someone else, and she's like, how am I guilty of like cheating just because like we're nearing the end of our relationship and I'm thinking about, you know, potentially cheating. And that sounds like what the song is like. When she said that this album started, the process started 2 years ago, what she said in her Grammy speech when she announced the album, I imagine that this song was written 2 years ago and not today. And it was put on this album because it wasn't something that she could put on an album, like, you know, I mean, it was written probably after Midnight's was finalized. This is how I envision the timeline. But, you know, I just am making shit up. I don't know anything. Anyway, Jack, why don't you talk about this?
This is one that I also feel could be like a really country song. It's like you pretty much brought up the part where I think it would be so perfect. Like, what if he's written mine on my upper thigh only in my mind? Like, I feel like that could sound so good, but I can only hope. But it's not gonna happen for a while. But it's someone said this was False God's little sister, and I can kind of get it.
I see it.
Yeah, like not sonically, yeah.
Sonically.
But it's it's that cymbal crash. Like that's stunning. And like there's synthesizer on this, but I think maybe this is why I was so annoyed at the I can't speak. Synthesizer, there we go. Okay. Go back, and I just kind of love to like hear more like percussion, but there is a song coming up that I really like because there's no fucking synthesizer on it. I love a synthesizer. It adds a lot, but it sometimes doesn't, and that's kind of, I just sometimes would love to hear a song without it. I'm not gonna give him a whole album thing away, but pretty much just there's a couple lyrics things. So written mine on upper thigh only in my mind. It's obviously a Taylor Swift song, but it's also a 1975 song, which is Take It How You Please. Drowning in the Blue Lights, he sent me Downtown Lights. Downtown Lights is a song by a Scottish band, the Blue Nile, and 1975. Love It If We Made It.
It's a reference to you.
Yeah,
Sorry.
Taylor Swift finally sang a song about me. She never interacted with me on social media, and I've never been to a secret session, or I won't get the red hat, but she's given me a nod in terms of writing something about Scotland that isn't about Calvin Harris for once, because that happened time and time ago, and we hate him because that was the reason she didn't come here for the night. Never mind, I'm getting frustrated. But yeah, this is about me. So sorry guys, this is exclusive actually. So we're the only one talking about it. But it's by a band called the Blue Nile. In 1975, Love It If We Made It samples the intro, and it's also Mattie's favourite band. So that's I've not got too many more comments, but it's I just said chorus gives huge country vibes and I want it.
Yes, I'm so excited for debut Taylor Swift.
Same.
Okay,
Those vault tracks are
anyway, should we move on to the next track? Who's afraid of little old me?
You know that's
So,
small.
yeah.
Just kidding.
Do you want to talk about the song first?
Sorry, yeah, that was rude. I just said I fucking love that she's clapping back at the media as she should be. The production
Yes.
cuts off when she gets to the Sue part as well later on, and I just think that's perfection. Like I think the way it cuts off and like layers back up slowly, is like stunning. Like it cuts off at the Sue part and then it goes boom 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 slowly. My my notes are crazy.
So
So true.
so good.
The song, again, a lot of criticism from people saying this is our most narcissistic song to date, which,
Fuck those people.
yeah, honestly, who knows? Comments, she just talks about how the media constantly downsizes her, and she like sort of comes at the media, which is honestly so good. Like I just love this from her because fuck it, like why not? Like I feel like she's been so afraid to say things, but she's pretty much been through everything she possibly could be at this point, especially with the bad PR stuff. So why not just come out and be like, look, this is how I feel about yous, fuck yous, right? And it also comes to people referencing, coming to people like people visiting our Cornelia Street home, and like recording it and putting it on TikTok and everything. The lyrics about her being the asylum she was raised in has been mocked because people are like, what, the Christmas tree farm? No, it's talking about the fucking music industry. Piss off. And it's yeah, I just think like there's a couple lyrics in here that are like, but my bare hands paved their paths, which she's talking about like how she went through all the grit and hardship. Like this song isn't just about, like, it's not about where she was raised. Like it's not, that's not what she's saying. Like it is about the music industry.
It's about the shit, and it's about the shit that she's accused of. Like
yeah.
when she, like the what she talks about in the bridge is literally like that. I'm always drunk on my tears. Isn't that what they all said? Like she literally says it in the song. Like she couldn't be any clearer, and people still don't get it.
It's yeah, and yeah, it's just like there's so much to this song that is like I just love. There's also something that we'll get on to near the bottom, but I'll let you talk about your feelings of it first.
I think that this song, people are saying it's narcissistic. I've seen people say she talks about this in every single one of her albums, and I'm like, yeah, because it gets worse every time, and because it doesn't stop. She could talk about it every time, but it doesn't stop, and those things like still haunt her. Like, and I would say like with the new age, they're not really. I wouldn't even call them new age Swifties. I would call them TikTok and Facebook bandwagoners. With, with them, like they're even worse because they don't understand things that Taylor has talked about in the past about dealing with the media and dealing with fandom, and like it causes worse things for her, and it makes her feel like she's being constantly surrounded, and the more fans she gets, the more media attention she gets. Like Taylor Swift, like her album release was literally like on the front of like news here, like it was covered like in the news here. That doesn't happen with every artist. That doesn't happen has not happened with Taylor's artists in the past. Like she is literally massive now, so she is dealing with these things 10 times more, and it is not narcissistic. It is narcissistic of you to think that she shouldn't talk about things that are challenging for her in her own fucking album. I mean, I think also like she went through this period where she was with Joe, and she, because of the way that the relationship was, and also just because of the time, like during COVID and stuff, she wasn't in the public eye very much. People listen to her music and stuff, and like she would release like very like things that were like very curated. But she wasn't just like seen walking around New York like she has been recently, and I think that, or like at football games, and I think that makes it probably really hard on her to like feel like she's walking around and like everybody's looking at her. And I don't know. I think this is a good song, and I think anybody who hates it is crazy. And there's rumors that she'll be singing this on tour, so I think that this is gonna go hard,
so hard
with a live audience. So I'm excited.
You know what's gonna go so hard? See part where she's
what?
like, "Who's afraid?" Or like where she screams it, like
Yeah.
"Little Aubrey." Like it's gonna go so hard.
So hard.
And then how quiet the stadium's gonna go when it's like, "I'm always drunk on my own tears." Isn't that what they say? They all said, and then it goes like the production strips back, and it's gonna be like, then she's gonna be like, "That'll sue you when you step on my lawn," and stuff like that. It'll be so good. It'll be so good. It'll be so good.
Mm-hmm.
That's one of the lyrics I want to talk about. There's like this whole thing where obviously it's like, "That'll sue you if you step on my lawn, that I'm fearsome, I'm wretched, and I'm wrong. Put narcotics in all of my songs, and that's why you're still singing along." So there's like a lot of like debate around this whole like narcotic line and everything. It's like how, because of how popular she is, like people will only just listen to her just because they think it's like the popular thing to do, and like how that's why there's so many people, more people listening. But like the way people portray it as is like, oh, like she does something to her, like obviously like jokingly, they're obviously not going to put narcotics in her song, but it's like that way of like, it's like a drug to like, it's like partaking in like not peer pressure, but like that kind of way where like everybody else is doing it, so like everybody else does it, and it's like that's kind of how it's portrayed as like a drug. Like, not, I don't know how to word it, but like,
Yeah.
I mean, that's not her fault. Like, I don't know how like you can, but we're coming off as like protectors here, but it's just like, I don't know, it's just crazy. And
I just think that people are grasping at straws to hate this album because they want to hate it, not because it's actually bad.
that is fair. That, I'm not even going to go into it, but that obviously like, "So if you step on my lawn," thing, like, I don't know, can this just, like, I don't think there is that rumor anymore, so I think it's good that it's shut down, and it's been shut down here again. But I'm just glad,
Yeah,
like, because we've not really had anything from her about it, but like, this is like her being like, "Shut up." Like, it's so dumb. Like, that is so dumb.
Yeah.
And we'll never obviously get confirmation, but this should be enough confirmation for any of the like people that still talk about it to like just drop it.
People are, the beef is, I don't even want to feed into that.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's move on to the next track. I Can Fix Him. No, really, I can. This song is good. The song kind of talks about Taylor trying to fix her partner. It's a relatively straightforward concept. It again has like a little bit of country vibes.
Mm-hmm.
And I love that. I absolutely love it. But yeah, I love how at the end she's like, "Whoa, maybe I can."
Yes.
Like, I just, like, she just realizes, like, she's in this relationship and she's just like, you know, I can just make this guy into like everything I've ever wanted, like, and it'll work out. And then she's like, "Oh, yeah, that's not how it works."
I wonder if she was writing this song and then like she was like hadn't finished it yet, and then obviously goes and says that stuff about like Ice Spice and stuff, and she's like, "Oh fuck, maybe, like, genuinely maybe I can." And then like that's it. Or like how she wrote this.
Yeah.
Like, I'd love to see how the process is.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I'm like interested. Yeah, I'm super interested, but this is like a shorter song.
Yeah, 2 minutes and 36 seconds.
But I think it really engages you for the time that it's there. And yeah, I don't really have much to say. There's not much to go through. Like I said, it's quite a simple concept. But Jack, why don't you speak on this?
Yeah, just the more like country vibe again coming up. There's a lot of Texas theming in this, and I tried to figure out why, like if it relates to like any 1975 type things or anything, but I couldn't see anything.
The way that I took it, like, she keeps mentioning Texas, like Texas is like obviously not where she's from or anything, but it's like it's a state that everyone knows, and like it's a very like typically American state. Like when you think of America, you might think of Texas or California, right? Or Florida, which she also references. But like, and I just like seen it as like oh, I love America now and I hate the UK. I don't know.
Fair. No, that's fair. I
What?
hate the UK as well, and I live here, so understandable. Understandable.
No, I was just more like, I'm only dating American men from now on. No, I don't know. But yeah, I don't actually know. I was just making a joke. Okay, anyway.
There's there's a couple of things. The dopamine races through his brain on a 6-lane Texas highway could be a reference to how a guitar has 6 strings, because then it's also the lyric later on is his hand so callous from his pistol, theming into this like Texas theming, or pulling into this Texas theming, but the his weapon is a guitar, like it's so like it kind of comes back into it. And then the only last thing is the curved brackets could be a reference to the use of the parentheses used in multiple 1975 titles, if it's not with you and looking for somebody parentheses to love. Probably not. Again, just another thing that people have been trying to speculate, because there is a lot of it in this album, so it's just interesting to bring up just in case. But yeah I cried for Love of My Life. I genuinely teared up, and it's on stream and it's so embarrassing.
Oh,
but it's funny. It's funny. It's so funny. But my gosh,
this song is, I think this song like it's just incredible. You know, she talks about in this song about Joe. She talks about like, you know, how they taken breaks before. She references like certain pasts in her life. Like I don't know, like it goes back to all the stuff we talked about during like So Long London, about the like whole like, you know, she had grieved this relationship while she was still in it, like still alive, killing time at the cemetery, never quite buried.
That's very Right Where You Left Me vibes as well.
Yeah, like I said, I feel like a lot of like Folklore and Evermore was about their relationship struggling, but she didn't want to admit that to the public. And or it wasn't necessarily about it, but it was heavily inspired by, like I wouldn't take those things as like, you know, direct relationships, but it was inspired by like, yeah, I've heard people say that like this song is like Tolerate It, but like a lot more sad. I feel that. And the like, when I first listened to this song, like when I first heard the like the "You're the Loss of My Life" lyric at the very end,
oh my gosh,
I died.
Yeah.
Like it was so sad.
Oh, wait, you've got a couple of videos of what you've done, right? Of you.
Not to this song, no.
No, is it? We need to get some of them up on socials as well. I need to post some of mine as well. Yeah, it's the way you, like, the way you take it is like LOML is like Love of My Life. Like you don't even have to like read into it to like that's what we would say, right? So to transfer it from that to like Loss of My Life is like crazy, because it's like she doesn't even say Love of My Life. She says like Love of Your Life, but she doesn't state Love of My Life anywhere in it, and then she goes to the Loss of My Life, and it's like, my gosh, she pulled a fast one on us. Like it's crazy. But it is like so heartbreaking, but the imagery that Dancing Phantoms on the Terrace creates is beautiful, like genuinely so beautiful. And it's like the cause something counterfeits dead, like the reference to Glitch, which is interesting. Like Love of My Life becomes Lost of My Life. She talks away, so she comes from like this it's hard to see if she's like, this is like her coming back from the feelings after the last moves, or if this is like again leaning into the fact that everything's quite messy, so it's just kind of all over the place. But it's like looking for, you're like yearning for that something that's more stable, and leans into the fact that that muse was, so possible like rekindling and stuff was like, that would be like what you would kind of hope for and stuff. But then you look back onto like things you've done in the past, like the dancing phantoms and stuff, and look back and like sort of be like embarrassed by the way you were acting, considering everything's played out the way it has. But it's just and like the way of like in the nick of time, is it used in here? I've wrote it down, I can't remember if it's used in here, but it's like very rep like lyricism in terms of like that. But the note on this is the instrumental of this song features piano notes repeated throughout the entire song, never changing. The piano sounds very melancholic, and further symbolises the idea of Taylor Swift's and Joe Alwyn's relationship. Since Taylor Swift keeps staying in the relationship despite how she feels in it, and that feeling doesn't change. Only at the end of the song, when Taylor says the line, "You're the loss of my life," does the piano finally stop. Since they finally ended the relationship, the pain isn't repeating anymore, it finally stops. Which is even more heartbreaking.
That's so sad. Like, Aaron, like, okay, like, I love Aaron, but, like, when he deals with these, like, really sad tracks, he's super good at, like, taking the emotions that Taylor has and making them, like, taking those emotions into the production so that you feel the music not just through the lyrics but also in the production. And I think that's why So Long London and Love LML are so good, because you can really feel it. Like, you haven't been in this relationship, you don't know, but you can feel it. And I, like, not saying that Jack doesn't do that in his productions, he does sometimes, but I also think it's Taylor's vocals in both of the tracks also, like, she is less like just like she's expressing a lot of emotion in her voice in these songs. Like, you can hear the pain in her voice when she sings, which also makes it really good. And I think maybe the other tracks, like, she does have emotion in her voice for sure, she always does, but I think maybe like sometimes the production, because it's about like something that was like so short with like the Maddie stuff or whatever, it's not as like, it doesn't hit you as much in terms of like sadness. But like, these are the sad songs on the album, so they hit you with sadness. The other songs aren't necessarily sad, they're more like filled with anger or confusion, or other emotions. But speaking of songs you can feel sadness in, this next track, I Can Do It With a Broken Heart, is a sad song that you do not feel sadness in. So this song, when it started and I heard, and Robin can vouch, I don't have this on video, but when I heard the start after Love of My Life, I was first of all just shook.
Yeah.
And then like it takes you into I Can Do It With a Broken Heart. And it just starts this like, you know, track that's like, I was like, can you pause it and restart it? Because I thought it was like an ad or something.
Yeah.
I was like, what the hell is happening? Like, it sounds like an ad, but no, it's... And then I listened to it a second time, and I was like, oh, like, that metronome that I think is, like, stupid and annoying is literally her in-ear.
Yeah.
And that is, like, so... I'm so happy I got that on the first listen, because if I didn't, I think I would have been like, what's wrong with the production of this track? Like, can they fix it? But it is so smart and so good, and I think the production versus the lyrics like perfectly works on this track. Like, it's not meant to feel sad, because she is trying to show, the production is showing how she's supposed to portray how she's feeling, and then the lyrics are telling you how she's actually feeling. And I love it. And I mean, this song is like such an anthem for me. Like,
So good.
lights, camera, bitch, smile.
Yeah.
Like me when I wake up every morning and I don't want to go to work and I look in the mirror and I go, that's what I'm gonna say. Um, or like, you know, I cry a lot, but I am so productive. Like me when I'm having mental breakdowns, but I have so much shit to do.
Yeah.
Like, thank you, Taylor, for giving us an anthem for the depressed girlies who need to get through their day. Like, thank you.
That is so good. Like, I wish I'd got your reaction, because I got my reaction of it on,
Yeah.
and I posted it on our socials and stuff, and like it was that, and so it was like I heard like the metronome, but I heard like it was like stuff was moving in the background. I was like, what the heck is that? And then it was,
Yeah.
and then what was it? It was there was like just like this constant sound throughout, and I was like, what is going on? And then it got to the there was like a really loud like part of it, and I was like, wait a minute. And I scrolled back, and I was like, right, just listen. And like I listened to it, and then obviously I was like, holy shit, that's the in ear. And then when it gets to like the 1 2 3 4 like go thing or whatever it says, I can't remember what it says, 1 2 3 4 I think, yeah, 1 2 3 4. I was
I'm
like,
so
fuck.
happy that we're music fans and like we know what an in-ear sounds like, because if we didn't, I would have been super confused.
The fact that if we didn't, we shouldn't have a podcast.
Yeah.
No, but it was literally, I don't know if you had seen the clip,
But
but it was so funny.
most people
it was.
don't. Like, most people don't. They don't know what an in-ear sounds.
To be fair, it's like something
which,
that you don't really should know, right? But it's like, I don't know how.
like,
how
I
don't
only
know.
I only know because like I've seen like videos of like, I can't remember, like on Instagram and stuff, of like people rehearsing for their tour, and they have like the in-ear audio on in the background. And I'm like, oh, like, cool, like you can actually hear that.
Also very distracting.
Or like people do those like TikToks or like POV, like what I can hear on tour.
Yeah.
Like, so yeah, like I think that's like how I really.
That must be how I
really
know as well. But like,
yeah.
I don't know how they do that. I'd get so distracted. I'd be like, what am I doing? Sorry. But no, that's like, I don't know if anybody's watching this and hasn't seen. At least I wish we could have got raised, but at least my reactions there on shorts and stuff. But yeah, it was like, I was in my like wee shirt and tie. I was like ready to clock in for my shift as an intern at the Touch Reports department, and I was shook the whole album. And then I woke up to realize it was 31 tracks, and I was like, oh my gosh. But no, that was crazy, and it just goes to show like the levels of like and I think that is like speaks more about how we've had to listen to the album multiple times because of these secret, like not secret, but like hidden things, and like how much layers there is to this. And luckily we found it on the first one. But I don't know, I know you're not a huge fan of Bo Burnham, but like, see that obviously the part where she's like, I'm so depressed that like it's my birthday every day, like that is very like Inside-esque. Obviously, yeah, like coming from tracks from that, and I just love it. I love when people do this, because it's like such a contrast to like how you're feeling, but it's like, and it's also funny because they always put that upbeat like production on it, and it sounds so good. And it's also like, yeah, that's the energy you want, right? Like you feel like shit, but like turn it around and make it like something that like it's not.
Yeah.
And it's like also a good layer, because it's like, no matter how she's feeling, she has to put this betrayal on for her fans, and it's like, it's good because there's multiple meanings to it in that way. But yeah, it's just crazy.
I want to address something.
Okay.
So there's a lot of discourse online about this track, and about how like, oh, we shouldn't be having fun at the Eras tour anymore because Taylor's not having fun. I'm like, are you like forgetting that like this song was written, you know, back at the start of the US tour, probably before she met Travis and stuff? Like, are you forgetting? Like, first of all, we all knew she was depressed. Like, she was literally crying every night during surprise songs. Like,
Yeah.
I love how at the end she's like, I'm so miserable and no one even knows. I'm like, girl, we knew, but we wanted to support you. But like, as like all the like the whole thing on TikTok of people being like, oh, we need a chant for like, we shouldn't say more because she's dragging us when she's like, all the pieces of me shattered as the crowd was chanting more. And I'm like, no, like we should sing that. Like that's part of the song. Like
Yeah.
we're not gonna. People are like, you should chant less. I'm like, what?
That would be so confusing the first time she hears
That
it.
would
She's
be
like, what?
so weird. Like, I'm like, someone on Twitter I saw, like, I'm sorry, but I don't know who it was, but I just saw this and they're like, maybe we should take it up a notch and just chant sufficiently. And I'm like, okay.
How would that even work? Wait, I'm trying to imagine this. So,
no, I mean, they were obviously joking.
no, but I want to actually,
like,
can you imagine? So all the pieces of me shattered as the crowd was chanting sufficiently. That would be so class. We should do that. Although we didn't get the
But,
Taylor
like,
You'll Be Fine chant over because that still doesn't really happen.
I literally hate that. Like, Taylor literally put a part in her song of like a lyric that Jack sang for her that like people she wanted people to sing back because she literally put it in the backing
And
track
she also
on tour.
pauses, yeah, like she pauses and it's
Yeah.
crazy.
And nobody sings it, and people want to sing like "Where Are You Going, Taylor" instead because they just want to like have a chant. Like literally, fuck off. Like I hate it.
I'll be singing Taylor You'll Be Fine.
Oh,
the
me
loudest-
too.
loudest I can.
Me too.
More's gonna
but,
sound so
yeah.
good. Sorry, it's
Yeah,
gonna sound awesome.
Let's not make any other chants. Like I think people need to be reminded that albums have at least a 6-month lead time, usually more for smaller artists, but for bigger artists they have like whole vinyl production studios dedicated to just them, so it's okay. But to have a song on a physical album, I definitely think that some of the tracks on the anthology were written later, which we'll talk about later, but to have a song on a physical album, it needed to be written 6 months before the records were shipped out, which means it needed to be finalized, which means it needed to be written however many months before so that it could be produced and all of that. Songs don't get finished overnight. You can't finish 16 songs overnight. So this song wasn't written yesterday. Like stop acting like that. Anyway.
I also really like that significantly chant. No, that's really funny. Sorry, it's literally not even a thing, but I kind of want.
Yeah, like people are like, oh, I don't want to go to the Eras tour anymore now that I know that Taylor's depressed. I'm like,
but
have
did you hear
seen her with
songs
Travis?
like Florida as well though? Like it's literally talking about charging from us. Like it's just.
Yeah, like I'm like, okay, like don't come, give me your ticket.
Give me your
Thanks.
ticket. Oh my gosh. Oh, the song's gonna sound so good live. Anyways, yeah.
The next track is "The Smallest Man Who Ever Lived." Jack, why don't you talk about this first?
Okay. I'm tallest man. No, I'm actually not. Sonically beautiful. She sounds like absolutely like stunning on this. But she also sounds like quite fed up, and I don't know how to like describe this other than like through, like, see when you're listening to it, like I could describe.
The song is anger. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's like
very
it's like really like it's like anger, but it's like you're like that fed up that you honestly like you're like fed up at being angry about it.
Yeah.
But it's I just said good riddance, big up Gracie. I was like, this is a joke.
That's literally what I thought of when I was like listening to the song first. I was like, good riddance.
Yeah.
The first thing I was like, oh my god, Gracie Abrams reference.
Gracie Abrams had writing credits on this. No, I'm just kidding. But shout out to Gracie. New track coming tomorrow when we're reacting to this. Wednesday is such a weird. Anyways, so
we'll talk about that after our Torture Poets. Don't worry.
That'll be like
Stay
2
tuned.
weeks time, but it's all good. We'll be there. We'll be there eventually. I hope you're still loving this because thank God we're not doing an anthology because we're at 2 hours and we've still got a bit to go, so we better hurry up. But yeah, sonically beautiful. I really love the mix of production. The production of when she goes to like this paranoid state of like where you sent by someone who wanted me dead. It gets so fuzzy and messy, and that is crazy. Like I love it so much because it really symbolizes like what we were talking about in Lizzie's, where how you're like how you feel that way and like you're really like stressed and stuff. Like the production should get muzzy and like fuzzy.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it does here, and
so good.
it's so
good.
Yeah, I just said again, the negatives of this, people are saying how she kind of self dug herself there when she said that he said that normal girls are boring, and then you were gone by the morning, like it's like you're digging yourself because you obviously left. If you're, I'm just gonna bring these up because I
You
think it's
left
good
as
to like.
soon as it wasn't interesting.
Yeah, like I'm good at. I'm not good at what. I'm trying to like layer it because I want obviously things to be said that people are saying because it's fair, right? But it's
Yeah.
whatever. That's one of the things. I personally don't like how she brings up drugs and stuff when it comes to the muse, because like I get it, I get it fully, but he obviously has struggled with that stuff in the past, so it's like when it's come up and
Yeah.
it's negatively toned towards it, I kind of think it's like a low blow. But I feel like obviously he's done a lot to like obviously for her to feel that way,
Deserve it.
but I just think like drug addiction is such a thing, right? So it's so
Yeah.
hard to.
I agree. I think there's other ways to shit on someone for sure.
But there is one lyric that you kicked out the stage lights, but you're still performing, right? So Matty, this is like saying that like kicked out the stage lights. So this is either saying that the Muse ended the relationship or that Taylor ended the relationship, but they kicked it out the stage lights. Like they pretty much ended it on their own because they were fucking stupid and done everything they shouldn't have done. But you're still performing the day after. No, not the day after. The next show they done, they changed the set list to songs about love and heartbreak, as well as ones that are previously dedicated to Taylor, as well as writing sorry on the board, which is like really sick because it's like you kicked out the stage light, but you're still performing, like you're still performing this narrative that like you love me and whatever. Sick. But yeah,
that is insane.
Yeah,
like,
I don't know if that was what's meant, but that's what I've taken from it, and that's so cool.
I wouldn't be surprised if that's what that is about. This song, I feel like you've gone into it lyrically a lot, but this song is incredible. When I first listened to it, I was like okay about it. Like I didn't not like it. I just like I hadn't absorbed it. It was just kind of like a song that I was like I need to get to that. And as soon as I got to that, as soon as I fathomed it, as soon as I was like, oh, like, I understand this. And, oh, my God, the bridge. The bridge. I went to Taylor Club Night on Friday, and screaming this bridge live.
Yeah.
Screaming this bridge live was the most incredible moment of my life. Like, it just, like, all of like your anger towards things just like comes out in this bridge. It's like I love, like you said, I love the production on this bridge. I love how it builds to it, and then I love how it goes back at the end. And I just think this song is done incredibly. This song can be about literally everything. Like, it could be about like, if you listen to the song from your own perspective, it could be about anybody who's done you wrong, especially the verse, like, especially the bridge, sorry. It's like, oh, like, we're, like, oh, the line when she's like, were you sent by someone who wanted me dead? Like, that makes me think of, like, a best friend breakup in a way that's, like, or just, like, anything. Like, for me, it's a best friend breakup, but, like, you know, losing someone and then like literally feeling like shit afterwards.
Yeah.
And then being like, oh my God, like you just wanted to fucking kill me. And then like the I would have died for your sins. Instead I just died inside. You deserve prison, but you won't get time. Oh, so good. Okay. Yeah. Anyway.
Stunning. Like genuinely stunning. Literally.
Anyway. Okay. Next track, second to last track.
Oh my gosh.
The Alchemy. I love how it starts like really slow, and then she goes, what if I told you I'm back? And like the production picks up a little bit, and then like in the chorus it picks up even more. When she says like when I touch down. I'm like interested in this song. Like this song is about you know, when she's like, what if I told you I'm back? And she's like, she's reuniting, like she's rekindling an old love. That's what I get from this song. I I've seen a lot of people say that this song is like about Travis because of football references. It could be about Travis. I don't know. Like, I don't really care who this is about. I
Yeah.
think like it's hard to know if it's about Travis because of the timelines. Like, it definitely could be about Travis, but it definitely also couldn't be about Travis, and I don't think there's enough to say one way or the other. But um I love the like he jokes that it's heroin but this time with an E line. It's just so clever.
It's clever.
um
Yeah, it's clever. You do have to give it that.
yeah. And then like I think just like the vibe in this song, it's just like the whole song is like a build up, and then it kind of has this like let go moment, and then in like um at um in like the last chorus, and like I I think I love it. I think it's such, I don't know, I'm sorry, I'm struggling to find the words, but it's just like a song that you can always go back to, and like I don't know if this is a like on repeat song for me, but it's a song that I like and will always go back to probably and enjoy.
Okay, fair. I think this one, like I've heard everything about what you said about how obviously Travis and stuff, and I've seen it as well, and I don't know, I'm really interested because there's a lot of like football references, and pretty much the whole song is like referencing like how these people are like false gold, right? Like these relationships were false gold, and like this is why I think people take it as like as Travis, because of like it's like, and now like she's in something better, so it's like, or she's found something better, so it's like maybe it must sort of be, but it would only be like really briefly, which is slay. Like that's honestly that, yeah, sure, like go for it. I want to hear what like we hear more about it on the anthology, which is actually interesting because we hear more about stuff on the anthology, so maybe there is a window where this is a possible, maybe there's a wider window where this could be about Travis.
So in terms of timing, like I said, like 6 months for a physical.
Yeah. So when.
So high school could have been written after because it's not on any physical copy.
Yeah, actually.
So like it's hard to say because like 6 months from April was like November, and like she had been seen at multiple games at that point.
Yeah.
Like they are rumored to have started dating in August.
So it would be like really briefly.
But it would have been briefly, like to finish a whole song. Like I think that this could be about Travis. I don't like I said, I don't really care.
Yeah.
It's it's a good song regardless of who it's about, but like the football references are definitely giving that, and then also like the actual word alchemy is like medieval chemical science, and so it's like saying that like who are we to fight like this chemistry, pretty much, like this like thing that like just always works. The one part that gets me is like when she talks about it being like, I circled you on a map kind of thing. But like I said, I think it doesn't matter who it's about because like it's still a good song.
Yeah, and it's just those like lyrics that are like, these blokes warm the benches, we've been on a winning streak, so it's like the others aren't up to it, like they're not like ready for the team, like they've obviously failed, like they're not up to standard, and they're now just warming the benches, like never to be played, because if it that muse might be the one, and it's like alchemy is the process of turning basic metals into gold. She called their love golden, but it's also like a lot of people take this as like Taylor's breaking away from the pain of the rest of the album, which is like really empowering, which yes is, and honestly it's just one of those like writing and storytelling through this, and like the lyricism is incredibly smart, and I just don't like the heroin. I really like the line, but I just don't like the heroin stuff. I just think, I don't know, but I really love the like tongue in cheek from it, because it's like really smart writing, but I I just don't like it with pop. That's the only thing. I'm not like I'm not an apologist for him. I just yeah, this is literally just I just don't like things that are like sort of like under that realm of stuff, because there's a lot of like strong feelings and horrible things within that like topic of that range of things. But yeah, it's such a yeah, whoever it's about doesn't matter. It's like such a beautiful song. And the lyricism and sonically it's really good as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, right. So this is the one we had the most speculation about when we seen the track list, and I think it wasn't as much as what I thought it was going to be about, but it really lives up. Like, this is one of my favorites.
Oh, okay. So remember before I said I have a favorite track, and
Oh my god,
you'll
no
find
way.
out what it is later. It's this
No
one.
way.
This is like on the standard version. This is my favorite.
This is like one of yeah. This might be my favorite, or at least like
It's
second.
so like I think it's I'm a really big fan of Taylor's album closers. Like, I think that like they're like they're the like the peak of her album, because she like really like has a reflective moment at the end of each one of them. And so this song is about, well, she starts it by saying you look like Clara Bow, and then she, in the pre-chorus, she's like talking about, you know, I think I might die if I became someone like that, in like a good like, and that's kind of like a reference because of like what happened to Clara Bow. And then it goes into verse 2 where she talks about you look like Stevie Nicks. And then she's like, I think I might die if I made it. And then she talks about, you know, she doesn't, you know, she's thinking back to like when being a pop star was just a dream for her, and the things that people would say to her. So it starts with Clara Bow because like I think that's like, you know, it's going down a timeline, but also like potentially like Stevie was compared to Clara Bow and then Taylor was compared to Stevie.
Yeah.
That's how I took it. And then there's the bridge of like that kind of just talks about like, you know, it talks about like these are all the things that you are expected to be like. Like you're supposed to be like Clara Bow or Stevie Nicks, this perfect person that you think you should be like, and it's hell on earth to be heavenly. You know, I feel like that lyric just hits. She's like, you know, you think you want to be famous, but it comes with a lot, especially for women. And then the outro, and she's like, you look like Taylor Swift. And she's essentially referencing that every single up and coming artist is being compared to her, and in the same way that she was to other people, and in the same way those people were to other people. And that when she says you've got edge, she never did. I think she's really trying to tell younger artists, like, I am not perfect, and I know I'm not perfect. So don't let other people think that you need to be like me, because you need to be yourself, and you're going to have your own flaws and your own things. And don't think that you just have to be this perfect person, because it will ruin you. And it's, I don't know, like, just like the way she delivers this song is so beautiful. The piano, the way she says dazzling. Ugh, I love it. It's so good.
Yeah. Literally, my like notes for this one is just sonically one of my favorites to listen to. It's the way she comes in with like, you look like Clara Bow. Like, I just love it. I can't sing, so I'm not gonna
so
fully
good.
go for it, but I just love the bass on it. It really strips it back. The production, the note I said is the production, no synth. Thank you, Aaron. I just really love the sound of it without the synth. And it just sounds genuinely stunning. And it also, like, it's interesting because you're going back a little bit of time to go to Clara Bow, so like part of me is like goes into these thoughts of production of like, was this taken into consideration? Like, would you strip back a song to where there would be no Sims back in the day when Clara was famous?
Yeah.
Like, is that where you come from it, or if you just don't and you just think it sounds better this way? Interesting either way. But again, like a quick rundown of who Clara Bow was, just in case. But the title pays homage to silent film star Clara Bow. Bow would struggle mental health issues caused by the stress of her fame. She was also known for having a turbulent love life, which could be the reason of like why it started on Clara Bow, because that's also like a lot of like Taylor's like what Taylor's been thingied for in the past as well. And also I think Stevie Nicks was possibly done for as well. So it could just be like, obviously there's that relation from Stevie Nicks to Clara Bow. So yeah, just to compare from Stevie Nicks to Clara Bow. But it the lyrics and like just the whole thing, it's like talking about the industry and how the industry tries to recycle these people and tell them lies, and like I think it's just like there's a lot of like truth to it. And I also think there's a little bit of like guilt coming from Taylor in this, because I think what you're saying there is like true about how she says like you've got edge she never did. Like I think there's that guilt of being like, don't let them like compare you to me, like you're your own thing.
Yeah.
And like I think there's that guilt of like, you will be told this, but like please like know that you're bringing your own stuff to this. And like they might lie to you and be like, oh, you'll be the next big thing and whatever, but like try and be your own big thing. Like try and be someone who like, not try to be your own person, like as much as it's going to be hard to. But I just think it just like talks about how the music industry recycles people, promising them this big dream, and like you're compared to that next person. And it's just like the lyrics of like the bridge of being like, beauty is the beast that roars down on all fours demanding more. Like the music industry constantly demands so much from artists, and is worried about the stars in the future will be promised sort of like to be like her. Ultimately the sound feels like an album closer. I like, so the way she pronounces dazzling and like the last line of the album is really satisfying, but I also feel like it doesn't end it properly. Like it doesn't feel complete. It does, but it also doesn't in a way. Because it cuts off really fast. At the end of the
day, it needs like a little piano note, and then it would be good.
So that's why I think like listening to TTPD, like that's why I think like it was always meant to be like this, like she kind of wrote it in like way she, like if she put Clara Bow's this last and then was like, I want to know how she done it, but I think like if she had started writing the second one, that's why, because it just doesn't, it tails off beautifully, but it also feels like it needs that last like like note or something.
So I have I think that we've pretty much covered the meaning of the song, but I have a quote from Taylor from Amazon Music where she said, I used to sit in record labels trying to get a record deal when I was a little kid, and they'd say, you remind us of, and then they'd name an artist, and then they'd kind of say something disparaging about her, but you're so much better in this way or that way. And that's how we teach women to see themselves, as like, you could be the new replacement for this woman who's done something great before you. I picked women who have done great things in the past and have been these archetypes of greatness in the entertainment industry. Clara Bow was the very first it girl. Stevie Nicks is an icon and an incredible example of anyone who wants to write songs and make music.
Yeah, that's so good then. I feel like she's done a good job at that. And the whole part about like discouraging them, like also like being like, oh, you could be this, but like also better because they've got this. It's
hell. I like that sucks. Anyway, that is the end of the album, the standard version, and we will talk about the anthology next week. And I think we're gonna briefly talk about what our thoughts were on the standard version, but we'll talk a little bit more in detail next week about our overall thoughts on the whole track listing after we go through those tracks. So make sure to come back next week, click subscribe. Thank you so much for listening. But Jack, what were your thoughts on the standard version overall?
So ultimately I think the album does a really good job at exploring the feelings that come from like a breakup to like a rebound to like maybe something a bit more stable if we're planning that in. But it also does it in like
Mm-hmm.
such a perfect way of like I thought the timeline was going to be very straightforward. I'm glad it wasn't. Like I was confused at first and it took me multiple lessons, but I'm really glad it wasn't because I
Yeah.
think it does a really good job at like putting references in, like multiple references to multiple muses and like just timelines and stuff in different songs, and I think it really does capture the messy like manner that it should capture. um
Yeah.
but like I feel like ultimately, um yeah, so I was taken like a little bit back about how it sounded, and I was kind of coming into it with more of like the Lakes vibe, just because like the album sounded like that, and like that's what you thought it would sound like. But I'm actually
Yeah.
not sad about it. Like I think I'm a little bit worried because I think going on to the next album, there's a song on it that sounds like it might be what TS12 might be, and I think we're moving away from the slower, sadder stuff, which is happy because it's obviously like represents how Taylor's feeling in her life, but it's also sad because I really love her stuff like that. But at least we'll have the track fives going forward. Um,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
it,
There's always gonna be something.
yeah, well, I hope so. Imagine she just turns tracks fives into like these happy songs. But yeah, I think it's like definitely in my top three. Like as a complete like as a complete album. But like
I
this
yeah.
this album on its own, I think it's got like a strong like maybe 7 to 8 because it doesn't feel like I think that ending of Clara Bow is really like unsatisfying knowing that there's something else there. Like I don't think it would be as unsatisfying if I knew there wasn't something because it just needs that last piano note or something like that.
Yeah.
But I think it
I
deserves that strong
think
rating.
yeah, I agree. I think like the manuscript is definitely like
Such
the
a
actual closer. It feels
such
like
a
a
beautiful
closer.
closer. Yeah.
We'll talk about it next week, but in more detail. But anyway, I I think I mostly agree with you. I think my one criticism for this album is like I think it is some I said last time before we listened to the album, the one thing I hope is like a lot of Taylor's albums feel like a compilation of songs
Mm-hmm.
versus an album. And I was hoping that this album would feel like an album because it was kind of a time in her life. Um and I think sonically it is very cohesive, and I think if we just look at the first 16 tracks, it tells a story. It feels like an album. My only criticism is that I wish the track listing was different. I wish she didn't put So Long London at track 5. I feel like it fits somewhere else, and I know that she's like in the storyline. I know she's like, oh, like she feels like she has to put a sad song at track
Yeah.
5, and if she did it that way, it would be different. And like I think I honestly think Guilty as Sin should be the first track in
Interesting.
this album.
Okay.
Um and then it should be LML LOML, and then So Long London,
Wow. Okay.
and then Fresh Out the Slammer.
Interesting. Okay.
And then
What would you put as track
I'm
5?
not going to go from there. Well, I'm not thinking that track 5 needs to be sad. I'm just putting it
Oh,
in the
okay,
way
okay.
that I see the story like actually playing out.
I think if
Um
anything, I'd maybe replace LOM. I'd maybe replace So Long London to place it somewhere else with LOML because So Long London's sad, but I think LOML also holds that property.
yeah, I think that you're right. I think that you could probably put, if you put So Long London at track 2, then you could put LMML at track 5. Because I feel like the start of the album needs to address like her breakup to
Yeah,
have the
that's fair.
context for the rest of the songs. Even if we had, if like, let's imagine a world where we had zero idea about Taylor's relationships and the muses in this album. If you are put into Fortnight at the start, like you're, and then you go into like So Long London, you don't know that like she was in a relationship right before this, and you're like super confused. um
I think
we know because we know,
yeah.
but I think that it needs to be told to the audience. This is like a manic episode, but yeah, Jack, do you think we should read the epilogue now or next week?
I think we read it next week because I'll sum up the full album, right?
Yeah. Okay. Like, you know what I'm talking about, the poem in the.
Yeah, because I think it sums up the
okay.
whole. Does it sum up the whole tracks, or does it only sum up really the first? Maybe it only
Well, it's on the physical.
Yeah, so it
which
sums
was
up
only the
first. Okay, we could read it then. Do you want me to read it, or do you want to read it?
You can read it. It's up to you. Do you have it? I can send you a link.
Yeah, and are we reading the Stevie Nicks one or Taylor's?
Taylor's one, yeah.
Okay. Okay, because then we can read the Stevie Nicks epilogue afterwards, like to the.
The Stevie Nicks one was like more of a prologue. We should have read that at the start. Oops.
Do you want me to put it in?
No, we can read the Stevie Nicks one next time.
Okay. Oh yeah. Okay, that's good. Yeah. Okay. So the prologue for the album that was given to us on physicals. We weren't going to read it, but I think it's more suited to read it now because it's on the physicals, right? So Taylor has written this poem that goes by my alarm is not in that poem, but it goes, at this hearing I stand before my fellow members of the Tortured Poets Department with a summary of my findings, a debrief, a detailed rewinding, for the purpose of warning, for the sake of reminding. As you might all unfortunately recall, I had been struck with a case of restricted humanity, which explains my plea here today of temporary insanity. You see, the pendulum swings, the chaos it brings leads the caged beast to do the most curious things. Lovers spend years denying what's ill-fated, resentment rotting away galaxies we created. Stars placed and glued meticulously by hand next to the ceiling fan. Tried wishing on comets, tried dimming the shine, tried to orbit his planet. Some stars never align. And in one conversation I tore down the whole sky. Spring sprung forth with dazzling freedom hues, then a crash from the skylight bursting through. Something old, something hollowed, something old, something hollowed, who told me he could be brand new. And so I was out of the oven and into the microwave, out of the slammer and into a tidal wave. How gallant to save the Empress from her gilded tower, swinging a sword he could barely lift, but loneliness struck at the fateful hour. Low-hanging fruit on his wine-stained lips. He never even scratched the surface of me. No, none of them did. And summation. It was not a love affair. I screamed while bringing my fist to my coffee-ringed desk. It was a mutual manic phase. It was self-harm. It was a house, then cardiac arrest. A smirk creeps onto this poet's face. I've butchered this poem because it's the worst men that I write best. And so I entered into evidence my tarnished coat of arms, my muses acquired like bruises, my talismans and charms, the tick, tick, tick of love bombs, my veins of pitch black ink, all fairs in love and poetry. Sincerely, the chairman of the Tortured Poets Department. I fucking butchered that, but it's all good. We move.
But I think what she talks about in the summary poem, in the first tracks, like the main part of the album, she explains it very well. I think when you listen to the album, you can get all of that, and I think the poem is such a beautiful summary of all of the concepts that she speaks about in the album.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like, I do feel like this is a cohesive piece from Taylor. That's why it's one of my favorite albums. Right now I have it at number 3, and honestly, like, I love it more every day, so it might go up. We'll see what happens. But yeah, like, this is definitely a top album of mine of Taylor's. It's really good.
Yeah, I've got it. It's got it in my top 3 albums. I think I was overwhelmed in initially listening to it, so that's why it was a wee bit lower. But honestly, every time you listen to this, you get so much more respect from it. Like, she done everything in this. Like, she knows herself more than we know her. She's stated that. She's given us like boundaries, more boundaries. She spoke about things in ways she wants to speak about. She has literally pretty much done everything I think you kind of want from her, and I do think this is an album for fans, more than it is for like critics and like for outside people.
Oh yeah.
Which is potentially why you've seen it do a bit rubbish on reviews and stuff. But I think I've never heard anyone say as a fan that they've disliked the album. So I think it's done what it was meant to do. The only thing I think we can get from you is, that sounded mean. That wasn't mean. Like, I meant like what number do you want to review it as well as what's your thoughts on the production and the final thoughts of this album from you.
I think the production is good. I think the production will definitely be like something that we can talk about in more detail next week, because I have thoughts on the production of the anthology songs too. We'll go. I tweeted on the Music Shack Twitter account. Follow us at Music Shack. A review from Nathan. What's his last name? Nathan Hubbard. And I think it really sums up how I feel about the album, and I think a lot of people are complaining about the songs that Jack's producing on, and I can see why their production is a little bit different than the production on Aaron's songs, because it's a different person, but also like, and it's not for everyone. I mean, Jack is on some of my favorite Taylor songs. I love his production. I think it was really important that he produced on this album, and Aaron did too, and Nathan says this in his review. Pretty much, Taylor was going through one of the hardest moments of her life. She said that she needed to write this album to help her go through it, and she couldn't do that with a stranger. Like, there's no way this album could be made with a stranger and be as raw and real and like tell the story she wants to tell us the way that she is with someone she doesn't know. I would love Taylor to work with a new producer and hear how she works with them. I mean, we got that when she started working with Aaron and Folklore, and like I think every time Taylor works with a new producer, like when she started working with Jack, like every single time Taylor works with a new producer, I think I'm so happy to see her work with someone new, because this person's going to push her in a new direction that she can go, because she is that talented. Yeah. But I don't think this was the album for it. And like, yeah, like I think that Taylor and Jack have worked together long enough that they have both seen each other out creatively, if that makes sense. Yeah. Like, they've pushed each other to their limits creatively, that now they can't do it anymore, and Taylor needs to work with someone new. But I think she's always going to go back to Jack because of how good friends they are for the songs that are hardest to write for her, and he's going to be there and he's going to get it. And so I'm okay with that, especially for this album.
Like, I think that's so fair. I'd love to just, what I really want to see is Taylor self-produce something. Like, I'd just love to see how it sounds, because obviously Taylor knows her music more than anyone, and I know she's not got time to do it, but I would love to just see what it would sound like.
Me too.
But I've heard, like, obviously I think I love Jack's work, and I think there is that limit of, like, you've reached, I think, pretty much the best you could get out of the combo. I think I'd love to see him come back on, like, again, really specific tunes that are, like, really personal because of how much a friend he is. But I really just want to see her with someone else, just to see, like, what it sounds like, because I just think that, like, we were so taken back when she started working with Jack, and then again taken back when she started working with Aaron. But I also think, like, Jack's really good at what he does. I really want, it's because I want to hear something new from Taylor. Like, the genre of, like, of the pop and, like, synthy stuff is, like, is good, but I think it's, like, I think we're past it now, sonically, and, like, I think, but obviously Taylor's going to do what she wants to do, and that's so fair. And but I would just really love to see see what it sounds like without that. But again, it's literally down to like whatever she wants. But I did hear someone say that it's sort of feels like Jack just feels like Taylor can do anything, like could do well on anything he produces. So like he's kind of gone back to like Midnights because he knows that like she can just whatever she does on that tune will be like crazy, which is it's fair. But I just would love to hear something without maybe like a synth or like again that Clara Bow strip
I
back
hate
stuff. It's just so good.
It is really good. I completely agree. And I think it works well on some songs, so it doesn't work well on all songs. And I don't know. I think we'll talk about it more in detail next week, because I think there's different production on the anthology tracks. Some that I do really like by Jack as well. So make sure to subscribe. Turn your notifications on. Stay tuned. A week from now, we will be talking about the anthology tracks in detail, which consists of my favorite track on the album.
Oh my gosh.
So,
oh my god, this is.
I don't know about you, Jack. Wait, what is your favorite track? Is it on the standard, or you don't know, or is it on the anthology, or you don't?
I don't. I think I'm really stuck between the anthology. Like, I think there is a song on there that I really like because of like how fucking badass it is. There's also like I really love the manuscript because it's a fucking sick ass closer. Like it's so good.
So good.
But I really love again, like I think Clara Bow's my favorite, but Love of My Life is like so good there.
Sorry, I just want to put in a point about Clara Bow Closer. Like, I just want to I just remembered that the manuscript was the last track on the standard edition of the vinyl.
Yeah.
So like maybe it was intended to be the closer.
It's
all
a
along.
Beautiful closer.
And then like they put it on the vinyl as the closer on the standard version, and then they put it as the closer of the anthology.
That's fair. That's really fair. Yeah.
I think that makes more sense now that I think about it. Yeah.
Because it's so stunning. So yeah, what number out of 10 would you say for this?
Sorry.
And then your favorite track, of course, on the TTPT.
I'm gonna give it 8.9 out of 10.
Wow, let's go. Slay.
Wait, this is just for the standard.
Yeah, just standard. Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna give it 8.6 out of 10.
Oh my, okay, slay. That's so fair. No, that is so good. Okay, interesting.
Yeah.
What's your favorite track?
My favorite track is Clara Bow. I said that before, but yeah.
Oh my god. Okay.
Okay, well, yeah. Thank you for listening. We'll see you guys next week. Bye.
Sorry it's been so long. Bye.